music
technology,
teacher network network music
technology,
network music
technology,
network.
Hi everybody, this is Heath with the Music Technology Teacher Network, www.mutechteachernet.com. For those of you that have been tuning into the videos I've been posting recently, I really appreciate you doing that. I hope they've been helpful, particularly those of you that tuned into the rant that I recently posted about video collages and how they're not necessarily the most educationally efficient or sound kind of assignments to do, and how they've been causing a lot of teachers a lot of stress. I appreciate you sitting through that. And as promised on that video, I'm creating the video today to give you some suggestions and ideas on how you can use video to in a productive way for your students. So there are several key concepts to keep in mind with any of the lesson plans that you're doing remotely or digitally. The one that's most important is engagement, getting your students engaged. As I mentioned in the video last night, as an ensemble teacher, whether it's band or orchestra or choir, the important thing is to keep your students playing their instruments or using their voices to make music. You want them to be playing. So during this time of the COVID outbreak and digital and remote learning, engagement's important because you want to create something that's going to encourage your students to actually be playing their instruments. You don't want to spend the next several weeks giving them articles and word searches and things to do just to create an assignment. Like, you actually need them to be playing their instruments and using their voices. So engagement's really important, and video can be a powerful way to do that because, first of all, I think your students probably enjoy seeing you. They like to hear your voice, they like to see your face. So when you can create a video where they can see you and hear you, that's instantly going to be engaging for them. So the next thing that's important is, as you get ready to create these videos, is that you plan out that lesson plan, what it is you want to do. So when you go into a rehearsal or a class with your ensemble, generally speaking, it's not great educational practice to like pass out the music, play through it and go, I wonder what's going to go wrong, and then just start fixing problems. Hopefully, as you're assigning repertoire, that you're doing that score study ahead of time, you can anticipate what the problems are going to be. You can anticipate, all that time we spent in college learning about, pitch tendencies and playing positions, and as we look at a score, we can anticipate what those things are going to be. Or hopefully you're choosing music to develop particular skills, performance skills that you want your students to have. So make sure that when you plan ahead about your lesson, that you're thinking about what it is you want to cover in that lesson and what you want to have your students working on. And then the last thing that's really important that I mentioned in the last video I posted is the assessment piece. Assessment is really, really important. Keep in mind that we don't assess just to assign a grade. Okay, we assess to encourage student growth. Okay, and one of the most important parts about that assessment piece is that we're providing feedback to the students. And feedback is not just not listening to what they just played and then telling them what they did wrong. Feedback is about letting the student know what they need to do in order to make that performance better the next time. Okay, so so that feedback piece is important. Now, but keep this in mind, as these students are submitting this feedback, you have to assess, or as they're submitting the recordings, you have to assess and provide the feedback. Now, if you're teaching your ensemble, you're assessing all those students all the time simultaneously. So even as you're listening to that group of 50 or 60 students, you are providing feedback to individuals, but also as a group. In the situation that we're in now, you are going to have to assess each student individually. Like I mentioned before, it's like you're teaching a bunch of private lessons instead of teaching an ensemble. So whatever you're having them submit, it's important that it's in small enough pieces that you have time to assess and provide that feedback in a timely manner. And this is what I mean. So let's say you have 100 students, and the segment you're going to have them record and send back to you is 30 seconds long. So if you have 100 students, 30 seconds each, just the recording piece is going to be 50 minutes total, all right? So let's say in addition to just the recording, you're going to say plan for 2 minutes plus the 30 seconds in order to listen and then assess and then provide some feedback to that student. So for each student that you're going to assess and provide feedback, it's going to take you 2.5 minutes. All right, so 100 students times 2.5 minutes per student is going to be about 250 minutes divided by 60 would give you hours. So for a class of a group of 100 students, it's going to take you a little over 4 hours just to assess those 30-second assessments, okay? So if you go much beyond 30 seconds, or if you have a significant number of students beyond 100, which I'm sure many people do, you have to keep in mind how long that assessment is going to take place, because you're still planning your lessons. And again, if it's going to take you, a week or more to assess and provide feedback, that's not particularly beneficial to your students who are just waiting to know what it is they need to work on next. So all those things are really important as you pre-plan these videos. So I would say there are two types of videos that you can prepare for your students that can be engaging. So the first type of video is just a follow-along video. Think about, like we can thank Jane Fonda for this. Back in the early 80s, Jane Fonda was the one that started this kind of rage of creating exercise videos. So people would order Jane Fonda's exercise videos and pop it in their VCRs, and they would exercise at home. So in that kind of setting, you have someone who is leading all this exercise. So you're watching and doing what they do. So again, with those videos, typically what you see is, they demonstrate whatever it is that they want you to do, and then they invite the people, now join me in with this next little step. So, the Jazzercise, Richard Simmons, Billy Blanks, P90X, all of these kind of videos, is you're not really worried about them trying to record something that's going to align with the video. You just want them to play along. So think about just how you would lead a regular rehearsal. You can make a video, about, you just want them playing along. You're not necessarily going to assess all this. So you may create a video and go, all right, folks, let's start off today. We're going to do our, our normal warm-ups with our long tone exercise 1. So if you have your instrument out, come along and play with me. Are you ready? All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, and breathe. 1, and then you're just conducting them through that warm-up exercise like you would normally do. And then maybe for whatever the piece that you're going to be working on that's in a particular key, so you're going to choose a scale and then maybe a rhythm pattern and maybe an articulation pattern that you want them to be working on. Okay, so again, the purpose of this video is not for you to get something that you're going to assess. The purpose of the video is to engage the students and lead them through what you want them doing. So even as you plan, the scale, the articulation, give them instruction like you would in class. Remember for, on the legato, let's do, longs and shorts. Legatos, we want a nice soft tongue, keep the air moving. On the staccato, we want to firm up the tip of the tongue. Whatever articulations or consonants that you use to do that, do, do, da, da, do, do, da, da. But you lead them through that exercise just like you would in class. And obviously, if I'm doing this, I'm going to be further away from the camera so they can see me. But again, this is a video that they can just follow along, that just gets them playing, that gets them engaged. It sort of makes them feel like that they're, maybe in class with the rest of their peers. And you can continue that with, a part of a song, an exercise, a line out of the book, whatever it is that you do. So again, with that kind of video, you're just leading them through. And they're playing along, and remind them that they can always stop the video, they can rewind it, whatever. Think about delivering the instruction however you would normally deliver it in class. Now, the second type of video that you may want to make is there may be like a longer section or maybe an entire piece of music that you want them to play along with. So you could create a video of you conducting through the piece with audio that they can hear as you're conducting. So they can hear the song as you're conducting from the podium. Now, to do that, there are a few things that will make it much easier, and to set that up in a way that they can play, because the problem with trying to play along with the recording is that you hit play, but you're never really quite sure when that music's going to start. So if you're going to give them a preparatory beat, or if you want to give them 4 counts before they start, you've got to have a recording that can alert you to when it's going to begin. And there's a way to do that by, a pretty simple way to do that using the DAW, which I'm going to include in the next part of the video. So something like that, where you want them to play along or record with you, it's important that you use a click track or their recording that they're listening to while they play. And having headphones is an important part of doing it that way. And if you've seen any of these video collages that I was ranting about last night, you'll notice in most of them you'll see those that are playing that have an earbud or headphones on, because they're listening to the click track in their ear while they're recording their video. But if you're recording, you don't want to hear that click track or that master track through your computer speakers, because then the microphone is going to pick up what they're playing plus that master track. So the trick is that the master track is playing through headphones or earbuds, so that while they're recording just their audio, and they're not picking up the extra audio from your master track. And I'm going to switch over to GarageBand and show you how to get that set up.
Music, music, music,
Technology,
music,
technology,
music, music,
technology,
teacher,
music,
technology,
teacher, teacher,
network, net,
teacher,
network, net,
teacher,
network, music,
technology,
teacher,
network, music,
technology,
teacher,
network,
teacher,
network, music,
technology,
teacher,
network, music,
technology,
teacher,
network,
teacher,
teacher,
network.